look at whether government spending can stimulate the economy. We're discussing this issue because a lot of politicians claim that bigger government improves growth. Let's start by describing the theory. During the 1930s, John Maynard Keynes argued that the economy could be boosted if the government borrowed money and spent it. This new spending, or even tax rebates, supposedly would put money in people's pockets, and the recipients of the funds would then spend the money and prime the pump as the money began circulating through the economy. Keynesian theory sounds good, but it overlooks the fact that, in the real world, government can't inject money into the economy without first taking money out of the economy. After all, where does the government get the money that it spends on a so-called stimulus program? It borrows it, meaning that any money that gets put in the economy's right pocket is financed by money taken out of the economy's left pocket. There is no increase in what Keynesians refer to as aggregate demand. Keynesianism doesn't boost national income, it merely redistributes it. The real-world evidence also confirms that Keynesianism is a failure. Let's go back to the Great Depression. In his 4 years, Herbert Hoover increased taxes dramatically, including a boost in the top tax rate from 25% to 63%. He imposed harsh protectionist policies. He significantly increased government intervention in private markets. Most important, at least from a Keynesian perspective, he boosted government spending by 47% in just 4 years. And he certainly had no problem financing that spending with debt. He entered office in 1929 when there was a surplus, and he left office in 1933 with a deficit of 4.5% of GDP. So how did Hoover's big government Keynesian experiment work? As the chart shows, growth went down and unemployment went up. Unfortunately, Roosevelt largely followed the same approach. The top tax rate was boosted to 79%, and government intervention became more pervasive. Government spending skyrocketed, rising by 106% between 1933 and 1940. But this big government approach didn't work for Roosevelt any better than it did for Hoover. Unemployment remained very high throughout the 1930s, and overall output did not get back to the 1929 level until World War II. Other Keynesian efforts also failed. Gerald Ford did a Keynesian stimulus focused on tax rebates in the mid-1970s. The economy did not improve. More recently, George W. Bush gave out so-called rebate checks in 2001 and 2008, yet both times there was no positive effect. And he certainly was a big spender, yet that didn't work either. The international evidence also shows the same thing. The clearest example may be Japan, which throughout the 1990s tried to use so-called stimulus packages to jumpstart a stagnant economy. But the only thing that went up was Japan's national debt, which more than doubled during the decade and now is far above even Italy when measured as a share of GDP. The economy, as represented by this chart showing Japan's Nikkei stock market average, remained in the dumps. On behalf of the Center for Freedom and Prosperity, thanks for watching. Please share this video widely.